Tonight on Whether or Not, the tropics heat up again and a new invasive species is entering homes across America. We'll tell you about that in Nature in the News. Plus, Ryan Bells is here with a look at severe weather safety, and Jill will be in to tell you about the football forecast. All that as Whether or Not starts right now. Thank you for joining us for tonight's edition of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Brad Gay.
And I'm your forecaster, Jillian Bohennick.
So Jill, the question on a lot of people's minds, about up to 107,000 of them, is what's the weather for football? How are we looking on Saturday?
Well, we have been in a summer-like pattern, which is pretty great considering the rest of the summer. We really haven't seen very summer-like conditions in a while. So we finally are starting to head into that. Although for the football weekend, unfortunately, we are starting to track some storms that could potentially influence plans for the weekend, but we will get to that in the forecast.
Yeah, and we'll certainly look forward to hearing that coming up in just a little bit. But first, here's Nature in the News.
Have you checked your garage lately? An invasive species of cannibalistic crickets native to Asia has arrived in homes across the eastern United States. This variety of Asian camel crickets has previously only been found in commercial greenhouses, but that's not the case anymore. North Carolina State University researchers recently discovered that they're now being found in many homes. In fact, the invasive camel crickets now outnumber the native camel cricket species in the eastern half of the country. Though they may have an appearance that is scary to some, it's not all bad news. The crickets can be helpful as they clean up basements and garages by eating dead bugs and plants that accumulate there.
A tropical cyclone spun up in the Gulf earlier this week. Tropical Depression 5 formed off the coast of eastern Mexico late on Labor Day, but it strengthened into Tropical Storm Dolly by the next morning. Dolly had maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour at its strongest point on Tuesday, but it wasn't a tropical storm for long. Dolly came ashore early on Wednesday morning between Tampico and Cabo Rojo, Mexico, and then tracked inland towards central Mexico. While the wind was not much of a threat, flooding rains caused damage across much of the region. The rains were made worse by tropical winds flowing up the Sierra Madre Oriental Mountains, located just inland from the Gulf Coast. As humid tropical air is forced upward by mountains and cooled, the vapor contained within it condenses and falls as heavy rain.
If you haven't updated your intergalactic address book recently, today might be the day to do it. Scientists have redrawn the map of the universe, placing the Milky Way galaxy in a new named supercluster of galaxies called Laniakea. Earth's mailing address isn't the only thing that has changed, though. Scientists now have a better understanding of how galaxies are grouped in the universe. While individual galaxies have quite a bit of empty space between them, they are drawn together in intricate ways. At the center of the supercluster Laniakea is what is called the Great Attractor, a gravitational focal point that influences the motion of galaxies around us. Other superclusters are influenced by and drawn toward different focal points. While this marks a big leap in our understanding of the universe, the next step for researchers will be to look at how superclusters behave on an even wider scale, an undertaking that will require scientists to chart the flow of tens of thousands of galaxies.
It's now been 28 years since the Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine, but the impact is still being felt as far away as Germany. Wild boars are a popular game in Germany. They're viewed as a delicacy, but tests in the German state of Saxony found that more than 1 in every 3 boars is too radioactive to be consumed. Saxony is located about 700 miles from Chernobyl, but wind and rain after the accident carried the radiation across Western Europe. Boars are being heavily affected because they root through the ground to get out much of their food, exposing them to higher radiation levels that linger underground. Each boar that is killed undergoes mandatory radiation testing, and those that don't pass must be destroyed. This can be economically damaging to hunters who sell their game for a living. Now, making matters worse, experts say that the radiation could continue to pose a problem for boars over the next 50 years. Jill is in now with your football forecast.
Thanks, Brad. Now let's get right to the forecast because it is a football weekend after all. Now Friday is actually going to be the nicest portion of the weekend. We do have that high pressure that is going to stick around for just a bit, but it is going to start moving its way out. But it is going to leave conditions great for Friday. We do have plenty of sun in the forecast, but we do have a cold front moving in from our west that is going to make its way into the region for Saturday, and that's going to bring the rain and showers for this weekend. Now, this is earlier Saturday morning. You can see the cold front that is going to make its way through early Saturday, and that is going to bring some rain and thunderstorms for the region on Saturday, just in time for game time on Saturday. But then by the time Sunday rolls around, that cold front is going to move off to our south and east, and that's going to make way for some nice conditions on Sunday, although temperatures are going to start to drop a bit behind that cold front, so you are going to see those drop into the 70s for the later half of the weekend. But for your weekend forecast, again, Friday is going to be probably the last hurrah for the summer season, as we do see temperatures in the low to mid 80s for Friday, but we will have plenty of sun. And the low temperatures for Friday night are going to be in the 60s, so it is going to be pretty muggy for the first half of the weekend. So Friday night into Saturday, it is going to be pretty muggy. But then Saturday, again, we do have those showers and thunderstorms. A few peaks of sun might happen throughout the day on Saturday, but again, just in time for game time on Saturday, we are going to start to see that rain move in. So you are going to want to keep that poncho or rain jacket on hand for the game. And then Saturday night, we are going to see temperatures dip just a bit into the 50s, so not quite as muggy for the later half of the weekend, but we do have a chance for some showers and thunderstorms Saturday night as well. But then Sunday, things will start to look up and things will start to become more seasonable as we do have nice conditions with temperatures back in the 70s. Now don't go away, Ryan will be back in just a bit.
Severe weather can strike at any time. You and your family might have a severe weather plan in place at your house, but if you're out and about at such stores as Target, do they have a severe weather plan in place in case you're caught there during a storm? Let's take a look and see.
The Target Corporation considers their company an upscale discount retailer that provides high-quality, on-trend merchandise at attractive prices in clean, spacious, and guest-friendly stores. Target has over 1,700 stores in the United States, over 100 stores in Canada, and nearly 361,000 team members worldwide. Here in the Keystone State, Target operates 51 stores, including one right here in State College. On an average day, countless guests are going in and out of Target. To give you an idea of how many guests are going in and out of Target's 1,797 stores, take a look at this. In 2013, Target's total revenue was $72,596 million. To put that into perspective, on average, that is over $110,000 in revenue from each store per day. So with countless guests going in and out of Target's many stores and a large amount of team members working at those stores, it is necessary for each Target store to be prepared in case of severe weather. One of Target's 1,797 stores is located in Horseheads, New York. Corrine Rafferty, executive team leader of sales floor at the Horseheads store, describes how the stores receive severe weather alerts.
I think everybody receives them on their cell phones. If you have a smartphone, you'll receive them on your smartphone. Weather radio at our fitting room, which we can get alerts from there. And of course, we have the TV in the lounge, which we would also get alerts from.
Being in upstate New York, where there are 4 distinct seasons, they see many different types of weather events.
I guess the biggest thing was last year's tornado. It was taken care of very well by our store manager, Ben. What he had was made sure that all the team members, everybody was out on the sales floor, and we gathered everyone to one rally point, so that way we can make sure that the guests were taken care of and the team members were taken care of. The rally point, we discuss it during orientation. It's the middle of the store, so that way if something happens, everybody's together, we can take roll and we can make sure everyone's there. If it's an inside that we need to get the team members evacuated or the guests evacuated, we do the same thing. Our rally point is the front of the building near our sign.
And you could refer back to the tornado incident like you are now in those team meetings so that you can have something to look
at. Throughout the year, throughout the week, throughout the month, depending on what the situation is, we'll go back through those to ensure that team members, especially new team members, especially back to school time of the year, we have new people coming in, we're going to go ahead and reiterate in those meetings what the codes mean. So it's kind of a reminder every couple months.
Being a team member myself, the Target store in Horseheads, New York has seen its fair share of weather-related power outages this year.
We have power outages a lot, especially this season. We've had quite a bit of them with the severe rain that we've had, but the team does a really good job making sure that they know what they're doing, and the leader on duties always do a great job communicating to the team what needs to be done and when it needs to be done.
If severe weather is imminent to a Target store, how do they go about notifying guests currently in and coming into the store?
We kind of wait to see what the situation is, and as they arise, they also don't want to create a lot of chaos, so they teach us to do it like low-key. We have an emergency response team that would respond to these situations, led by the leader on duty, who would assess the situation and then decide where we needed to go from there.
What resources, if any, are in place for Target team leaders so they can make sure they have a list of everything that needs to be completed to stay safe when severe weather strikes?
Target's done a really good job being proactive to these sorts of situations. We have several resources in store, and the resources are set up so well that, we have tabs in each one of these where we can just pick it up, and if we don't remember how to do it, or if we, for instance, there might be a little chaos in the situation, this will help us go through that situation or scenario step by step to make sure that we are following the steps Target wants us to take and make sure that we're making it less chaotic or less stressful for our guests.
Corrine explained how each store's executive team leaders, store team leaders, and assets protection team members are the store's crisis team.
That way we have a crisis team right in the store that can be referred to the crisis team at corporate level, which is our Alert One system. If, for instance, we get evacuated and I don't have the binders on me, I'm not going to run back into the store if we have a burning building. So the great thing about Target is they also have an outside resource where we can, every leader in the building has it on their cell phone. It's a phone number that we can call. It's called Alert One. It's a support system for us in case we need to help in these situations, and they can also send us extra emergency personnel if we need it.
So if you were caught in Target during a severe weather emergency, know that Target has plans in place to keep their guests and team members safe. For Weather or Not, I'm Ryan Bells.
Thanks a bunch, Ryan. Taking a quick look at the upcoming weekend forecast. Again, Friday is going to be a typical summer day, and it might just be the last one of the season with muggy conditions. And then heading on into Saturday, that mugginess is going to linger as we do have showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for game time on Saturday. But then things start to clear up for the later half of the weekend. And then heading on into next week, we do have the beginning of the end as temperatures start to taper off to seasonable, and those are going to continue into the later half of the week, but conditions for the most part will be pretty decent with the exception of a few showers possible on Thursday.
All right, well, thank you, Jill, and that brings us back to our Weather Whiz quiz, which is how many days in August did State College reach a high of 80 degrees or warmer? Was it A, 4 days, B, 9, C, 13, or D, 15? Well, if you answered A, just 4 days, you were correct.
That's right. Typically for the month of August, we usually see temperatures around 80 degrees for the average high for about the first 3 weeks. So it's pretty atypical to not see 80 degrees during the month of August.
Yeah, and furthermore, we didn't hit 90 degrees once this summer. Though we still have a little ways to go. September we can hit 90. It's looking less and less likely as the days pass.
That's right. Typically during the summer, we hit 90 anywhere between 6 to 7 times as the average. So pretty strange summer.
Yeah, not too much going on in terms of warmth. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Weather or Not. I'm your host, Brad Gay.
And I'm your forecaster, Jillian Bohennick. Have
Yep.
a great weekend.